Soggy Science here. Number 32. Episode 32. That's so many. So many. Wow. This week's full of good and bad news. Strange, unusual things. But what else is new? Thanks for tuning in. Lightning strike in California. Venice Beach. In the middle of the day. It hit the water. And unfortunately, a lot of people nearby got electrocuted. And one person died and 13 people were injured. It's very rare here. But thunderstorms are a real hazard. So if you see the big thunderhead roll in, probably a good idea to get out of the water, since water is a conductor and lightning likes to strike it. Anyway, on a weird science note, yellow lobster was found in Florida. Apparently at a Publix supermarket. And it was saved and ended up being sent to the Seacoast Science Center in New Hampshire. But it's 1 in 30 million chance of getting yellow lobster. Apparently they're calling it an orange lobster, which is 1 in 10 million. But if it is a yellow lobster, it's 6 times rarer than the sometimes reported blue lobsters. And this was a Maine lobster, American lobster with the claws. So interesting, rare things being found, and probably will live a long, happy life at the Science Center. Anyway, the rumors of their demise are greatly over-exaggerated. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's real. Doesn't mean it's real. But luckily, I didn't fall prey to the hoax. But there was a report of Japanese whalers abandoning ship and being eaten by a pod of orcas in the Antarctic. Didn't happen. Didn't happen. Pretty fantastic story, but generally when you're reading things, if it doesn't show up and it's that fantastic in other more mainstream media, probably a hoax. Especially when they say 16 people were killed and 12 injured. Plus, I think the orcas have better taste than that. Anyway, unfortunate news on the water quality front. Toledo has been told not to drink their water. This kind of relates to a story the other week. Likely due to toxins from algae in Lake Erie. Remember we as in science, had said there'd be blooms again this year. And apparently there have been, and it made its way into the water system, and the treatments of that water didn't take that toxin out. So for the near future, Toledo is on bottled and supplied water. But this one is not a chemical spill, it's a nature producing chemical spill, which is due to blooms of algae and runoff. Who knew? But interesting news on the Atlantic coast side. Bigeye Tuna have been tracked long-term for the first time, and it is crazy. They go all the way from Georgia's Banks in the northwest Atlantic, all the way down to Brazil. Brazil! They went to see the World Cup, I guess, in Rio de Janeiro. But Molly Luchavich of the Large Pelagic Research Center has been doing that work, and it's fascinating stuff. And it is a commercially viable species and not as popular as bluefin, but this is really the first kind of long-range study they've done on this. So good job, Molly. Can't wait to hear more about it. And more tracking news. Good friend of Soggy Science, Dr. Greg Skomel, got the first tag of the season out of Cape Cod on a great white. Yay, Dr. Skomel! Way to go! And it was a 12-footer. And the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy reported that. And it was a pleasure to meet him earlier in the year. And they've been doing a really cool job up there. So I can't wait to hear where this one heads. Very neat work. And on Great White front and Shark front, Sharknado 2! Sharknado 2! Came out and premiered and was well received. Caused a Twitter storm. had a whole lot of viewers. 3.9 million of them. And probably more realistic than some of the Shark Week shows this week. Coming up. Sci-Fi's answer to Shark Week. But they did well, and it was hilariously obscure and ridiculous. And no, can't possibly actually happen. Not gonna happen. Sorry, Tara Reid. Not gonna happen. But it's fun fantasy entertainment and just the cheesiest loveliness ever. But check it out if you haven't so far. On the blackfish front, Southwest has ended its partnership with SeaWorld. So, no more orcas on planes. Or no more planes painted as orcas. So, they're running fast from that offering. Talk at the Vancouver Aquarium is restricting and stopping their breeding program. Not deciding to set the whales free, but they've stopped the captive breeding program. So captive mammals are in the news and on people's thoughts, and action is actually being taken. Well, not so good news on the cetacean front. Japan has ended their Pacific campaign for whaling. In the Pacific, they did 2.5 months in the Northwest Pacific and killed 115 whales. That was 90 sei whales and 25 Baird's whales, both fairly endangered, and we'll see what happens. New Zealand has filed suit to stop their campaign from continuing next year, so hopefully that will have some good effect. But you go New Zealand, and hopefully we can end this research soon. Anyway, so on the bizarre front, too strange not to be true, it appears that the warm waters of Florida are increasing the incidences of a flesh-eating bacteria known as Vibrio vulniformicus. Voluficus. The CDC, Centers for Disease Control, are warning people not to go in the water with open wounds or cuts. So, if you're in Florida or tropical areas, don't go in if you got open wounds. One person's already died and several more are sick, so it's not good, and it's flesh-eating. It's kind of nasty. One of those strange things that we're just getting a better handle on knowing about now. Related to cholera, apparently. So hopefully we'll know more about that soon, and we can prevent further transmission and keep people healthy. But take care of yourselves out there. And on a more interesting note, Monterey Bay Aquatic Research Institute, and that would be Bruce Robinson from there, was tracking same spot in the Monterey Canyon, very deep. It was actually 4,600 feet. And they witnessed a deep water species of octopus that brooded her eggs for 4.5 years. Now, traditionally, it's thought that octopuses only live 3 to 5 years. So that's pretty incredible maternal care. And it's thought that it gives a lot better chance of those octopus or octopi to survive post-hatching. It's pretty darn amazing. It's just crazy what we're still getting to know out there. Crazy! Of course, after they hatched, she subsequently died. So it's kind of a one and done thing. And it's thought that she doesn't eat much in those whole 4.5 years. So she was hatched, she grew up, she mated, and then she watched over these eggs for 4.5 years. That's nuts. Who would have thought it? And it's so cool that we're still making such substantial findings with bigger animals and finding new stuff all the time. So if you're into science and you're into the water, and if you're watching this, you must be, get out there and learn more. Use the normal tools you have, your eyes, your brain. Get into your own backyard. Investigate. You don't have to be a PhD in science to investigate, to get out there and explore. Get off the couch and explore. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. Subscribe. Send your suggestions. follow us along on the social media sites, and more importantly, get out there in the water, find some adventure, and get soggy.